going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV and welcome back to Arsenal Therapy. Here we go again, people. Here we go again. I just knew somehow we would be back here. I just didn't expect to be back here so quickly. Yesterday was a crazy day. A 1-0 defeat to Newcastle. Some people say they had 12 men with the referee as well. But as I said, man, we've got a lot to discuss. On one hand, VAR ripped us off, no doubt about that. But let's not let that cover up the cracks. We did not play well yesterday. And we definitely didn't play well in an attacking sense. Yeah, we did limit Newcastle in attack. I totally agree with that. But going forward, what did we do? Did you ever feel at any point in that game that Arsenal were going to score, that Arsenal were going to win? I don't know. I didn't really. So we got a lot to talk about today. And listen, there's a lot of things that have happened even since last night. Big up to everyone who tuned into the watch along yesterday. Great numbers as always. Thank you for getting the like count up. Big up everyone who came over to the Bleacher Report review that we did after the game. Really appreciate the numbers. I obviously did the AFTV interview. I don't know what happened on the camera. It looks like I recorded on a potato or something. It was crazy, but as long as you got the message, that's all that matters at the end of the day, people. So big up to everyone. But we're here. It's Arsenal Therapy. Let's air our problems and let's try and move forward with it. And, I mean, I said this after the West Ham game that Newcastle was a good game to bounce back, hopefully, and it definitely wasn't. Miss said, big up Dr. C. What's the counter play to teams against Arsenal? Doubling, tripling up on Saka and Martinelli makes them look so mid and unable to do a thing. I mean, listen, man, you've got to look at with Saka and Martinelli that they're two young players. They're still finding their way. They're still figuring out what player they're going to become, how good they're going to be, how much they can add to their game, and what level they can reach. Now, I don't think it's a coincidence. There isn't really one player in our attack that's playing well this season, if you look at. Martinelli's been injured. He's been okay. Saka hasn't been great. Eddie is Eddie. Jesus keeps getting injured. He's doing okay. And Odegaard's been poor as well. So all of our attack is struggling. So there is a bigger problem, in my opinion. We got a lot to talk about. I did throw out a grenade last night. Some would say it was more than a grenade on Twitter. And I just left it there. Some of the responses were hilarious. Some were quite good. But you know what it is with me. I don't care. I throw it out there and just leave it to marinate, people, like seasoning up the Sunday dinner. You got to let that flavour just marinate, people, before you put it in the oven. But anyway, couple of things to talk about. The first thing, there is a major disappointment. And listen, not surprised, but also very disappointed. And I know football means a lot to a lot of people, and I understand that, but this is very, very disappointing. So half an hour ago, Arsenal Football Club put out a statement. We condemn all forms of discrimination and take a zero-tolerance approach. We will apply the strongest possible action to anyone we can identify sending hateful messages. Now, for anybody that's wondering what that is, Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Willock. Joe Willock, of course, former Arsenal player. Those two players were subjected to racist abuse last night and this morning from so-called Arsenal fan accounts. I mean, shocking. Absolutely shocking. The classy Arsenal. And this is what I say about Arsenal, right? And I love Arsenal Football Club. I'm a fan. Of course I am. But sometimes people need to understand you don't need to believe everything that comes out of this football club. We call ourselves the classy Arsenal, the classy Arsenal. The same Arsenal that got rid of 60 staff members during lockdown and sacked them. You know, got rid of the guy who wears, you know, Gunnosaurus. Got rid of them during lockdown rather than paying them, one of the richest football clubs in the world. Didn't back Mesut Ozil when he was speaking out about things that were happening in the world because it didn't suit their narrative. So rather than backing him the way they backed Zinchenko with Ukraine, They condemned him and pulled him out of the team. People say Arsenal don't have racism in the fan base. I've heard that before from, Arsenal fans are not racist, are they? Are they not? And there you have racism against a former player. What? And my question is, what are you abusing him for? What did he do? Did he call out the fan base? What did he do? He kept a ball on the pitch or out of the pitch, crossed it in, and they scored from it. You're racially what the hell? Like, come on. I love the football club. I love the majority of the fan base, but like, don't just take everything they feed you, people. You know, this is massively, massively disappointing. Massively. Because when our players have been racially abused, I see, our fan base stick together. We don't do that. And then Arsenal fans are doing this. Should be ashamed of themselves. Not Arsenal fans, in my opinion. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Listen, Arsenal need to ban these guys and name and shame them. But, that's a whole other situation. And I said for a long time, man, they never... The energy was totally different with Mesut Ozil as it was with Zinchenko. But that's a whole other matter. If I speak, I'm suspended 6 months probably, people. So there you go. Disappointing start. And we haven't even got into the nitty-gritty of the game yet. But hey, it is what it is. Let's not talk about it too much. But something we had to speak about. Big up Matt the Southern Gooner. Hope you're well, bro, on this Sunday. Let this set in. 4 shots on goal in 2 full games of football. 4 shots on goal. 1 shot on target yesterday in 90 minutes. 1 hour and a half. Plus time added on, you had 1 shot on target. Havertz and Jorginho running midfield 2 games in a row. Eddie rolling around. Arteta is out of his depth. Time to go. The audacity of him to hide behind VAR. I know, and I'm going to get into all of this today, right? We're going to talk about VAR and we're going to talk about the performance. We're not going to ignore either one of them because they're both relevant. But I always say, look at yourself. I said it on the AFTV interview. Look at what you can control. And then afterwards, you can look at things that are out of your control. What was in our control was, did we go to Newcastle and perform at a level that should have led to us winning the game? The fair result yesterday would have been 0-0, right? It would have been 0-0. Newcastle never really looked like scoring, and we never really looked like scoring, right? So it should have been a 0-0, and because of what the VAR and referee did, we end up losing the game 1-0. But my issue is that performance yesterday going forward was not a one-off. We've seen that performance time and time again. Big up Southern Gooner. I know you say it as it is. Go and follow him on his channel. He speaks the truth. Laser Gaming, big up, bro. Make sure you go and follow him as well. Brilliant gaming channel. He said, you said it perfect on AFTV. The new additions have damaged the spine of the team we had last season. We ain't competing with City at all. And listen, that's what I said. I believe last season we had the spine of the team. Ramsdale, you had Gabriel Saliba, you had Xhaka Partey, you had Odegaard, you had Gabriel Jesus. The spine was quality. Obviously, you had some quality around them. Ben White had a good season. Saka, Martinelli. You just needed the Xhaka replacement, maybe some squad depth. And if you want to upgrade the goalkeeper, get a genuine upgrade on the goalkeeper. What you've done, you've took Ramsdale out of the team. You've put a goalkeeper in that whether you think he's better or not, he's not performing better. David Raya may be better than Aaron Ramsdale, but he's not performing better than him. So it's irrelevant whether he's better or not. You've then, Zinchenko's just disappeared. The whole inverted thing ain't working no more. So you've ended up putting Tomiyasu in there, but you still want him to invert. You don't have a natural left back at the club because Zinchenko is not a defender, right? Ben White doesn't look as good this season either. And then you go into midfield. Rice was brought in to replace Xhaka, but he's actually replaced Thomas Partey because Partey can't stay fit. You're then playing Jorginho, who is nowhere near good enough to be starting for Arsenal. Oh, but he's a good squad player. Nah, the guy's a first-team player. He's starting nearly every week. He's nowhere near good enough. Odegaard is not performing. I think a lot of it is Partey not being there. but also his own form has dropped. Jesus injured, so now Nketiah is the first choice. And the two wingers are young lads and they're struggling. I'll be honest with you, Martinelli and Saka are struggling, especially Saka, but I will defend those two. I will defend those two more than a lot of other players in this team for the simple fact Saka's carried this team for a couple of years, and you're 21, 22 years of age, and you've been one of the stars of this team. You're one of the reasons we're even in the Champions League or was in a title challenge. I will defend Saka and Martinelli. I will be honest about their performances, no doubt, and that will be reflected when we do player ratings, but those two are two of our shining lights. I'm telling you now, people, there is a reason that Saka signed a 4-year deal with no option. Most players have signed 5-year deals or 4 with a 1-year option. Saka signed 4 because he knows in 2 years, if we still aren't winning anything, he will walk out the door. Walk out the door, because you're not worth it anymore. Too many nights. I don't know the rest of the words, but you know what I'm talking about. He will go, mate. Pep will go, you know what? You could play right wing for me. Bernardo's in his 30s nearly. You look great on that right-hand side with Doku on the left. Just quickly, Doku. £60 million, 4 assists and 1 goal. £60 million player in 1 game. 4 assists, 1 goal. Our £60 million player, by the way. I saw a stat. Kai Havertz. Listen loud for this one. Kai Havertz has more yellow cards at Arsenal this season than shots on target. I repeat, Kai Havertz, £65 million, attacking midfielder, has more yellow cards than shots on target. If I speak, I am in big, big trouble. 4 yellow cards, 3 shots. One of them was a penalty. £65 million. Facts don't care about opinions, people. That is a fact. 4 yellow cards, 3 shots on target. One of them was a penalty. But their £60 million player got 4 assists, 1 goal in 1 game. If I speak, I'm in big, big trouble. Anyway, listen, big up to everyone locked in. Thank you for tuning in today. Brio said, failed with Willian and thought, give me H29 and J20. Horrendous, horrendous players. Where do we start? Do you know what? We will start with... I'm actually thinking what direction we start in it. We will start with VAR. We will start with VAR because this is what most people are talking about, right? I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen. It did. Despite my, feelings about the manager, VAR affected the result yesterday. My thing is just don't hide behind it. That's what I'm not prepared to do. We can talk about it, we can moan about it, but don't hide behind it. We wouldn't have won that game yesterday, even if VAR didn't rip us off. Right. As I said earlier, facts don't care about opinions. Facts don't care about opinions. So we're going to try and come up with the facts. This is the picture that we all saw. You see that and you think, am I seeing things here? Because that ball looks out of play. There's no other way. But this is picture number 1, people. But this is the picture that is going around this morning that the Premier League are using as justification. Is this. Using their technology, semi-automated technology, the ball is in play. Now, I know a lot of you will think, what is he talking about? I can't believe it. Let me zoom in. Let me zoom in. Now, remember, from the angle we're looking at it, the ball is over the line. It's gone past the line. But because of the shape of the ball obviously being a sphere, if part of the ball is in line with the line, the ball is still in play, even though the bottom of the ball is actually over the line. I know it's crazy. I know it's crazy. But this is what they're running with. And they're running with it all the way to the bank. Do I agree with it? I don't even know what the rules are anymore in football. I really don't. But this is what the Premier League are using as justification. Some Minecraft thing, as you say, people. But whether we like it or not, I mean, they may have made this up. People saying it's AI and Howard Webb, Man U fan. This is what they're running with. So we can all run around and say the ball was out. I thought the ball was out. And Rashford had a similar one the other week for Manchester United. And they said this is what they're running with. They're saying the ball is in play. Now, Rastaman said that's not conclusive. It looks more out than in. It's mad. The thing is, the problem you've got, if a referee gives a decision, they will only overturn it if they believe it's wrong. If it's inconclusive, they will say, go with what the on-field decision is, right? So this is all. Listen, I'm just presenting you with what they're presenting us, people, right? A lot of you will look at that picture and still think I don't agree with it, but as you can see, when they zoom in, that little tiny outer edge of the ball is in line with the line. It's crazy. It looks out from the other picture. They've probably photoshopped it. Who knows? But this is what they're running with. The ball, according to them, the ball is still in play. We're not going to win that argument and debate, unfortunately. Because according to them, the ball is still in play. So we don't have an argument with that one. Well, we do have an argument, but we're not going to win it. They're not going to win it. That picture, they will say the ball is in play. So we don't get that one. Now, let's go to part two. We've got a few parts here to get through. According to them, the ball's in play. So we move on. We move on from that. Let's go to part two. I mean, I don't know what's going off here. I really don't, by the way. Anywhere else, you get a free kick for that all day long. All day long. I don't know how that's not a push in the back. I mean, his knee is in his lower back. He's got his hand on the back of his head. I mean, what? How the referee and VAR do not give that as a foul, I will never, ever understand. Never. The ball being in or out of play, cool, all right, you might have messed that one up. Maybe the ball was in play. This one, two hands on him, and they're saying they don't know whether this was a push or not. David said, why would Gabriel not head it if he wasn't pushed? Man doing CPR to Gabriel, it's a sus picture, I can't lie. I can't lie, but how is it not a foul? Inverted foul. Brown envelope. Listen, they're owned by Saudis, man. Maybe there's some big money there. So listen, don't you dare give that as a foul. Got a big envelope under. We'll slide a big envelope under the door. Just give that goal. How can we win the league if you have to beat VAR? I'm telling you, look, I was expecting two of them and a three of them. I wouldn't mind them. I thought Tony Matterhorn was here, people. What is going on? You only see moves like that in a yard rave. It's crazy. But apparently not a foul. That one is shambolic. That one is shambolic. Let's go to part three. Plenty of parts here, people. Plenty of parts to talk about here. Let's talk about Bruno Guimaraes. Now, forearm smash. Bang! When I was a kid, I used to watch WWF. I'm old school. Not WWE. WWF. I used to love it. Ultimate Warrior was my favourite wrestler growing up. Probably my favourite a bit further on was Bret the Hitman Hart. But I used to love Ultimate Warrior. Used to shake on the rope. A lot of you will know. If you're from the older generation especially. If Ultimate Warrior did that to Hulk Hogan, I'd be saying, what a move that is. Bruno Guimaraes does it to Jorginho and nothing happens. Absolutely shambolic. Should have been a red card. And he didn't even get a yellow card for this. Did not even get a yellow card for this. Unbelievable how he got away with this. Now, let me say one thing, by the way. And you're right. Look at Bruno's face. You can see the anger in the man's face. Urgh! Man's giving him the forearm smash around the face. It's a blatant red card. Let me say one thing. I've seen people going crazy online about Bruno Guimaraes, saying he's a thug. Listen, you can say what you want about this, and I don't agree with this, of course, but I wish he was in our midfield. Dark arts, he abused it, but he got away with it. That's what they call dark arts. Diego Costa used to do it every week for Chelsea. Vieira used to do these kind of things to Roy Keane and that. So, yeah, but he should have been sent off. He should have been sent off. So, there's two decisions that are shambolic. He should have been sent off. And the Gabriel one was definitely a push in the back. So there you go. But I mean, people saying that ain't dark arts, that's blatant, no discreetness. You wonder, don't you, how with VAR you get away with that? With a referee, I used to do it in football. Lower leagues might stamp on a defender's toe or something from a corner. But there's only a ref and a linesman. You can be discreet and get away with it. But VAR, how are you getting away with that? Is what it is. Dark arts. And they got away with it. I'll tell you two things, though, that I won't... That's the end of VAR for me as a conversation for today. I will no longer talk about VAR for the rest of today. I said it on my Bleacher Report stream. VAR in this country is broken, right? It's broken. Not the technology, the people using it. I believe that VAR in this country has corruption in it. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. There's no way ex-referees can get that many decisions wrong. I'm sorry, there's corruption. End of conversation on VAR for me today. Let's now look in the mirror. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Oh, yeah. Let's look at what we did yesterday. Or what we didn't do yesterday. Because Arteta can go in a press conference and say it's disgusting and blah, blah, blah. And I understand that. But I like to take accountability for what we could have done better. I'm going to get into the player rating shortly. But before I do, I want to talk about two things. And he could have been offside as well, by the way. But I want to talk about us. Michael Jackson settings. We're starting with the man in the mirror. Now, speaking of people in the mirror. Speaking of people in the mirror. Let's talk about Ben White. We're about to have some uncomfortable conversations. I'm letting you know now. Now, you are an England international. You're an Arsenal right back. You're a multi-millionaire. Joe Willock at this time has just kept the ball in or out of play, depending on where you are with it. And Ben White, I've got to go full screen, right? And I've got to zoom in, right? Ben White, this is Ben White. He's at right back. So this should be his area of the pitch. Jorginho, who I think is rubbish, by the way, but Jorginho is telling Ben White, I think you better go out there, mate, and maybe try and stop that cross. You are our right back, by the way. Jorginho, who is telling him, I think you better go out there because he might have kept that in and a cross might lead us to a bit of difficulty here, my friend. And Ben White, I don't know if you can see, he's looking at Jorginho. He's not even looking at Joe Willock. He's looking at Jorginho like, I think you better go out there. He might have been saying, listen, Georgie, mate, I don't watch football. So that's phase one of that situation. Our right back, daydreaming. Now let me get to phase two. He's still not there, by the way. I wish I could play this. Ball gets crossed in. Joe Willock. Let's talk about David Raya. Talk about David Raya's positioning. Near post. Where he was against Chelsea, where he got lobbed. By the way, if Joe Willock does that same cross that Mudryk does here, he probably lobs him again in that position. standing at the near post, leaving nearly all the goal empty. And he decides to turn into Superman. Like I said, I thought it was the Soldier Boy video. And I mean, you misses the ball, and we're done. Get it off the screen. Get it off the screen. Oh, but he's good with the ball at his feet. Great. How about when the ball's in the air? Oh, no, he's no good at that. But he can play a great pass. Oh, yeah, that's fantastic. Soldier Boy up in it. Oh, how we crank it while we... Oh, and I mean you. And I mean you. What the hell was that from David Raya? This was the upgrade. This was the upgrade. David Raya. Get him back to Brentford. Don't buy him on a permanent. Send him back. Let's get into player ratings. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. This ain't for the faint-hearted, I told you. It ain't for the faint... This is Arsenal therapy. It's serious. Player ratings. Anthony Gordon, the clear Boldin lookalike, scores the winner. Shouldn't have counted, but hey. 9 shots for Newcastle, 14 for Arsenal, 1 on target. 1 shot out of 14, it's the target. Let's get into player ratings. As I said, it was a bad defeat. Not everybody had a bad game. When you lose, not everybody's had a stinker. And when you win, not everybody's played well either. You know? Let's start with David. I might just call him David Almunia. Return to sender. It's like, you know, you join like Netflix or Amazon. They might give you a 14-day trial period. If you cancel before the end of the 14 days, we won't charge you anything. It's a free trial. Cancel the free trial and send David Raya back to Brentford and go and have a mid-table battle. 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. Because in theory, if David Raya comes out, punches that ball away, no one's talking about VAR this morning. I'm giving him 2 out of 10. Actually, I'm going to a 2. That's a horrendous mistake. You were supposed to be an upgrade. I've had enough. That's not that. He's been lobbed by Mudryk. He's given the ball away twice, leading to goals. Now he's doing the Superman and missing the ball. 2 out of 10. Not interested in, no excuses. He's supposed to be better. He's not better. I don't mind replacing both of them, by the way. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, I'm the Aaron Ramsdale. No, I'm not an Aaron Ramsdale fan club boy either. I don't mind replacing both of them if you want to get me a definite upgrade. 2 out of 10 for David Raya. Shocking. Shocking on that goal, mate. Absolutely shocking. There's a big difference between playing for Brentford and playing for Arsenal. As I said, we're the only people ever that have gone into a phone shop and didn't get the upgrade. Like, we've got the same phone. It might even be a downgrade. Let's get into the back four. Ben White. You're being told to go and close down a cross. Mate, I think you better get out there, mate, and block the cross. 4 out of 10 for Ben White. Got round Saka. We're on the attack. He puts it out for a goal kick. And then he gets dragged off. Shocking Ben White yesterday. I don't know what's happened to him. I'm going to give him a 3. I'm going to give him a 3. I was up 4. I'm going to give him a 3. Because he wasn't much better than David Raya. He was half asleep. Maybe he had hair dye in his face. You know, he got the hair dyed from silver. He's gone back to dark brown. Takes a little bit of time to settle in. I give him a 3. Stood there, watch Willock chase after a ball. Keep it in or out. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit. You should have got a little bit closer. Turn around. Oh, every now and then we fall apart. And we need defending from Ben White. And we need you more than ever. Yo, I better stop. It's Sunday. It's vibes, people. 3 out of 10 for Benny Blanco. He don't watch football and he don't stop crosses either. 3 out of 10 for Benjamin. Shocking. Let's go to Takahiro Tomiyasu. Why don't you just let him play as a fullback? Does every fullback have to invert? Oh, cut me off there. Does every fullback have to invert? I don't know. I thought Tomiyasu was average yesterday. I don't think he was bad. He got done a couple times by Almiron. I give Tommy a 5. He didn't really invert too well, but I don't blame him. Listen, this is what Arsenal does to you. I told you we are in the real life Truman Show. You're going to see Jim Carrey in your house soon. Like, the cameras will pop out. They'll say, it's an experiment. We did it to see how much, pressure you could take as a football fan. We lured you in with the Invincibles. We knew you couldn't resist that kind of football. Bergkamp and Henry. And then we started giving you Shamaks and Scalaccis and, Bentners and Eddie and Ketias. There's only so much you can take, right? Right, let's move on. Tomiyasu gets a 5. Happy birthday to him. Big him up, but wasn't at his best yesterday. The 2 centre-backs. I actually think, right, I mean, Holler said that the singing's atrocious. I mean, listen, if you see me on X Factor or American Idol next year, just work with me. See if we can get through the first round. The 2 centre-backs weren't terrible yesterday. I'm going to be honest. I know we lost, and it's very easy to just say 2 out of 10 for every player. I thought Saliba was one of our best players yesterday. I didn't see anybody get past him. The goal had nothing to do with him. I would say Saliba would be a 7 out of 10 for me. I'll give Saliba a 7. I'll give Saliba a 7. I thought he was our best defender yesterday. One of our best players on the pitch. Gabriel, the only reason I'm marking Gabriel down below Saliba, because Gabriel has this habit sometimes. And I've seen Gabriel Jesus do this as well. Where it's like, if he's in trouble, rather than having the fight, he goes looking for the free kick. And it frustrates me. I actually think he won the battle yesterday with Callum Wilson and got Callum Wilson dragged off. I just think sometimes don't go looking for a free kick. This is the Premier League. VAR and the refs are no good. Win the header or win the challenge and keep it moving. So I'm going to give Gabriel a 6. I'm going to give Gabriel a 6. I mean, Total saying the Bozo gene is back. It looks like it's there at times. It does. I told you, without Saliba. But Saliba was there yesterday. But the reality is, and this is what we've got to be honest, right? If we don't concede that silly goal, I'm probably giving Gabriel a 7 today and saying you've gone to Newcastle, who, don't forget, people, Newcastle were top scorers in the Premier League, right? That you're saying before Man City scored 6 yesterday, Newcastle were top goal scorers. You'd be saying 6 goals puts them above Newcastle, but you'd be saying top scorers in the league and we didn't concede. You'd be saying, and you're right, he did miss kick the goal. He did. He sliced it, didn't he? You're spot on. So anyway, yeah, he gets a 6. Let's go into midfield. Man of the match for me yesterday, Declan Rice, 7 out of 10. I'd probably give him an 8, but I'm in a bad mood, so I'd give him a 7, maybe a 7.5. I feel sorry for Declan Rice. I feel sorry for him. By the way, one of the signings of the season in the Premier League. I'll give him a 7.5. He deserves more than any other player, in my opinion, because he covered every blade of grass. Every blade. He was our best player by miles. If we'd have won, I'd probably give him a 9 or 9.5. He probably deserves an 8. We'll give him an 8. Let's not let what happened pull down his performance. He deserves an 8. He was the best player probably on the pitch, to be honest. We're letting this guy down at the moment. We're letting him down. We are putting this guy in a situation where he's having to carry other people every week. Every week. He would have been thinking, yo, brother, I'm going to Arsenal. Look at the way they're playing. Thomas Partey's going to do my dirty work. Odegaard's going to be creating. I'm going to have Saka and Martinelli making runs. I can't wait to play in that midfield. Brother, you're playing with Jorginho and Havertz. Saka and Martinelli are struggling. Partey's injured. You got Nketiah through the middle. He had an easier time at West Ham with Souček and Paqueta next to him than he has with these two guys playing around him. Horrible. Souček did loads of dirty work. Paqueta was brilliant creative-wise. Man City offered like 80 million for him. He's playing in a worse midfield at Arsenal. He's doing more running. He might be sitting there thinking, I made a mistake. Let me keep it 100. Man City wanted him. He chose Arsenal. Maybe he might be thinking, I should have gone to Man City. He might be thinking that. And what summed it up? Last kick of the game, Fabio Vieira puts the ball out of play, trying to pass the ball to him. And he's shouting at him like, what the hell is that? Let me get through these super chats. Because there's a few. I don't want them to mount up too much. Kartik, thank you. Been a member for 10 months. Hard to watch Arsenal in these streams now. Arsenal is fraudulent with their transfers and teams. Refs make games a joke. Mental health not worth it. Honestly, I say it before and I say it again. I want, obviously, as many of you in the streams as possible. But if Arsenal is affecting you in a negative way, take a break. Try not to watch the games. Don't watch too much content. Have a break. It can ruin your weekend if you let it, people. Genuinely. Do what you need to do. Sometimes you have to switch off a little bit from this team. They will stress you out. Brio said VAR saw the goal and viewership dropping and gave it. Maybe. The game was boring, wasn't it? Southern Guna teams will continue to do this until we develop a spine. Eddie Howe has mastered the teachings of Simeone. Time to tighten up and for some, bulk up. Said it before and I say it again, and you know, I know people don't like these conversations, but people say, oh, what Arteta's done, nobody else. Eddie Howe took over a team in a relegation battle, kept them up, and then got in the Champions League within a year and a half. They're now beating us at home. They battered PSG at home in the Champions League, and they've spent nowhere near what we've spent. So is it a miracle what our manager's done? One FA Cup, one top four. Nearly 700 million, 4 years. Somebody messaged me yesterday, said, bro, it's only November and you're questioning the manager. I said, bro, he's been at the club for 4 years. This ain't about what's happened from August till November. If he took over in August, I'd probably be saying, that's not a bad start. He's been here for 4 years. At what point am I allowed to question his job? Look at these big clubs. Most managers don't get 4 years to figure things out. This ain't an apprenticeship. Nelson said, WWF, Legion of Toon. Legion of Toon, you know, I'm telling you, Toon Army. Big up yourself. Cuz is a new member. Big up Cuz, see you. Appreciate that, bro. Member stream will be not this week coming, the week after. International break. Lucas said, playing devil's advocate, do you think Havertz should have been off, even if that first foul is not a red? He had another one after and wasn't. But listen, Arsenal fans don't like these conversations. Havertz could have easily been sent off yesterday. Easily. Make no mistake about it. People are saying, oh, Bruno Gomes, he should have been locked up. He's a criminal. He did the dark arts and he got away with it. Vieira used to do it. Keane used to do it. It's only because of VAR. Diego Costa used to do it. They're them players. If they don't play for you, you don't like them. If they play for you, you appreciate them. I ask every Arsenal fan in the chat today. People are all complaining about Bruno Guimaraes, and I understand it's frustrating. If I said to you right now, you can swap Jorginho, Havertz and Fabio Vieira for Bruno Guimaraes, would you do it? Every single one of you would do it because he's a hell of a player. A player we should have signed, by the way, when Edu bottled it in that January and didn't get him when Xhaka was injured and Partey was at AFCON. So, yeah, he could have been sent off and he was very aggressive, overly aggressive. But I wish he was in our midfield instead of these two guys I'm going to do in the next player ratings. Havertz could have been sent off quite easily. Jorge said, Rice absolutely ishing on Vieira at the end. He should. He should. And he should be the captain. Declan Rice should be the captain. I don't care if he's been at Arsenal 3 months, 3 days, or 3 years. He is the leader. He's the only one showing it on the pitch. Rudy, big up yourself, bro. Big up Rudy with the super sticker. Rudy Musavi, I appreciate that. Curtis, have you seen the club statement? Yeah, I spoke about it at the start. As I said, Arsenal fans racially abused Joe Willock and Bruno Gomes. Not Arsenal fans. The classy Arsenal, apparently. As I said, we support the club. We want the best for the club. Let's not pretend that this club won't let themselves down if they think it's saving them. Look what they did to Ozil when he spoke up on political matters. They threw him to the wolves. They never showed the same thing towards Zinchenko when he spoke. You know, you can't pick and choose. And yeah, shocking from those so-called fans. David said Big C is killing it on Bleacher Report without the green screen. Yeah, their system doesn't allow a green screen, so I'm back on plain wall settings. Big up, David. SG said Maddison, Havertz equals Kante, Xhaka. Brown envelopes. I mean, we're going to talk about Havertz anyway in the next player ratings. And Granite Xhaka said, let's be honest, Saka was more shocking than Havertz yesterday. It's time to hold him accountable. Do him the same way you do Odegaard. No problem. Player ratings will reflect that, let me tell you. Let's talk about all I can describe as two Chelsea players. And this might sound really harsh, in my mind, I still haven't got my head around the fact these two even play for Arsenal Football Club. I'm finding it difficult to even comprehend. Let's start with Jorginho. I'm telling you something, right? The fact that Jorginho is Arsenal captain yesterday, I'm being genuinely honest, and some people won't agree with this. They'll say, yeah, but he's experienced, he's a leader. Jorginho wearing the Arsenal captain's armband is one of the worst things I've ever seen at Arsenal. Honestly, and I don't say that lightly. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen at Arsenal. I mean that honestly. He, to me, is ingrained in Chelsea. I can accept it if you come in and you're a heck of a player. I'll shamelessly run with it. You know, no problem. You're a bang, and I mean you are a bang average footballer. You're past your best. You stood on our pitch. I get it. You was a Chelsea player at the time. You stood on our pitch with Tammy Abraham and said, once a blue, always a blue, London is blue. Trolling us. And you are wearing the Arsenal captain's armband, starting week after week after week. Backwards, sideways, backwards, sideways. Ineffective, slow, doesn't win tackles, doesn't break down attacks. He is rubbish. He's not good enough. He should be in Saudi or in the MLS or in Syria playing for Udinese. Rubbish. It's a disgrace that this guy wears the armband. Absolute disgrace. Was he the worst player on the pitch? No, he wasn't. So I'm not going to mark him as low as David Raya and people like this. But I'm giving him a 4, 3.5. I give him 3.5. I give him half a rating more than Ben White. Him wearing the armband is an absolute disgrace in every way, shape or form. Honestly, send him to Udinese. I'm not even going to give you a Napoli, a Milan, an Inter, a Juve. Get him to Udinese. Rubbish. He shouldn't even be playing for Arsenal. Never mind where the fact he's got the armband is nothing short of an absolute disgrace. My overall rating for him would be a 0, but I'm purely rating him on yesterday's performance. He wasn't the worst player on the pitch, but he was ineffective. Dinesh said, as a Chelsea fan, you funded our deal for Caicedo. We could have bought Caicedo, but we bought Jorginho. They put that money towards buying Caicedo and saved wages and things like that. Basically, with Havertz and Caicedo, we bought 75% of Caicedo. So instead of just buying the guy we actually should have bought. Let's go to Kai Havertz. I mean, I was arguing. Well, no, not arguing. Debating with people in the comments yesterday. People were going, oh, Havertz playing all right. I think Don Arsenal nailed it. He said he had a shot that was blocked. And I said, the standards are in the mud if this is where we're at. If we're complimenting Havertz on a shot that was blocked by a defender, then we're done out here, people. If that's where the standards are. If that's what we're complimenting. I watched Doku yesterday hitting the griddy on Match of the Day. after 4 assists in 1 goal. The man's doing the gritty. Do you think Havertz is hitting a gritty this season? You've got to actually score a goal to start dancing. You've got to actually have a shot on target. I say it before and I say it again. 2,000 of you in the chat. Kai Havertz has more yellow cards this season than shots on target. 4 yellow cards, 3 shots on target in 11 Premier League games. And I'm meant to be saying, well done, because what? Because he clattered someone in a tackle and actually could have got sent off. Now, I said it at the time. I actually like the fact that Havertz went and nailed Dan Burn in that tackle, because Dan Burn kept fouling Saka. And Havertz probably thought, you know what? Let me make myself useful. Let me just go and 2-foot someone. At least you showed a bit of fight. I'll give him that. That was probably the best thing that Kai Havertz has done since he's played for Arsenal. He 2-footed Dan Burn. Or I think it was actually Longstaff that he caught. He 2-footed Longstaff. Best thing he's done since he's been at Arsenal. But what about the goals? For a £65 million attacking midfielder. How many goals has he got? 1 penalty that we gave him out of sympathy. How many assists has he got? He played a nice 10-yard pass to Martinelli with a deflected shot that went in. 3 shots on target in 11 games. And I'm supposed to celebrate this guy because, what, he ran around, he won a header and he 2-footed someone. He is, at this moment in time, one of the worst signings I've ever seen at Arsenal. It's as simple as that. When you counter in the transfer fee, when you count in who you signed him from, when you look at the impact of Maddison and Szoboszlai, who cost similar amounts, Kuda scoring bicycle kicks, Doku hitting griddies, Kai Havertz, 4 yellow cards, 3 shots on target. I'm not going to celebrate that. In terms of yesterday, I gave Jorginho a 4. I'll give him a 4.5. He was actually probably a tiny bit better than Jorginho. But overall, he's been horrendous. If people were telling me that was his best game in an Arsenal shirt, if that's his best game in an Arsenal shirt, then we're in big trouble. Because let me tell you something. Pepe was considered a flop when he left this football club. 72 million. Pepe's a flop, they said. Pepe was 100 times better than what I'm seeing from this guy. I seen Pepe nutmeg man on his debut. I seen Pepe dribble past prime Van Dijk. I seen him score 2 free kicks in the Europa League, whip 1 top corner against West Ham. I've seen moments of brilliance from Pepe. I've seen nothing from this guy. Nothing. Neil from the in-betweeners. Big tall giraffe. Useless. Genuinely get rid of him in January. You've done yourself. Sometimes you've just got to admit you got it wrong and try and find an escape clause. We've all been there, people. You buy a pair of trainers, spare of the moment. Oh, these will suit me with my new jeans. You get home, you keep them for over 28 days. You can't keep them back. What do? You put them on eBay for half the price and hope for the best. Hope that someone gives you a decent bid. Put Havertz on eBay. Buy it now with free delivery. We'll send it the same day. Get rid of him. Get him out of this football club. He is useless. He will not succeed at this club. I hope he does, but he won't. Because in midfield, he's miles off it. And up front, he ain't going to get in this team up front. Get him on eBay. Get him on Gumtree. Let's go to the front three. On Wednesday, we had a bagel, which means there's nothing in the middle. I mean, I don't know what we were yesterday. I suppose we were shaped a bit like a U. We had nothing in the middle of the pitch apart, and we had nothing up top. And to be fair, not even a U because the wingers. Let's talk about Saka. Starboy Saka. Overall, I will always try and defend Saka and Martinelli because you're in your early 20s. You've been some of our best players for a number of years. And having a bad run of form does not mean I'm going to completely turn on you because you are 2 of our shining lights. But let's get one thing abundantly clear. I ain't here to cap. What the hell is going off with Bukayo? What is going on with Bukayo Saka? Wrapped up by Dan Burn, bashing him down, kicking him to the floor. Can't get past his fullback. You know what he's going to do before he gets it, and it ain't working. I said it before and I say it again. Wingers, especially wingers. In your first year, you'll surprise people. So they'll go 1v1. The fullback will say, don't worry, I'll mark him. Then he'll get ripped up, and then he'll go, oh, actually, that Saka's a hell of a player. The second year, they might have a bit of arrogance and say, all right, I'll have another go. Maybe I'll get a bit tighter to him this year. Won't give him as much space. And then he rips you apart again, and you go, damn. This guy really is the real deal. And then the third year you play him, you say, right, the winger in front of me, you better come back and we double up on him because he's too good to go 1v1 against. Then you figure out, are you a good winger or are you a great winger? Because you watch Mbappe, and I know it's hard to compare him to them levels, but even you watch Vinicius Jr., you watch Rodrigo, you watch Dembele, watch Mo Salah. Mo Salah's a right winger in the Premier League. They double up on Mo Salah every week for Liverpool. You know he's the biggest goal-scoring threat. But guess what? Most weeks he still scores. Because it doesn't matter if there's two players on him. Number one, he's clever enough to get in the right positions. And number two, he's skillful enough that he can go past two players if he needs to. Robin, as someone said. Hazard, Alexis. You can name wingers until you're blue in the face. Gareth Bale. These guys got doubled up on week after week after week. It didn't matter. Let me tell you two things in Saka's defence, though. In his defence, when Mahrez used to play right wing for Man City, as soon as he got the ball, he'd have the left winger and the left back on him. What was the first thing that happened? Kyle Walker started running on the outside of him. On the overlap, he'll pull one of those players away. Then Mahrez gets 1v1 and he'll rip the left back apart. When do you see Ben White hitting them overlaps at the moment and pulling one of those players away to allow Saka to go 1v1? Ben White is in a bad run of form himself. And second of all, this isn't just a Saka problem. This is an attacking problem. Arsenal's attack this year is not firing. Our biggest creator is Odegaard. Odegaard is out of form. He's not creating. Thomas Partey, who passes the ball forward very quickly, is injured, not playing. Declan Rice is babysitting. He's running around the pitch trying to carry people. You've got no Jesus up front, who is the chief link-up player. So you've got Eddie, Saka and Martinelli. And also Martinelli on the other side, he had Xhaka on the overlap last season. He had a very good understanding with him. Our whole attack is not functioning at the moment. That is an Arteta problem and an Arsenal problem, not just a Saka problem. However, Saka, 4 out of 10 yesterday. He got kicked. I didn't see a cross. I didn't see a shot. He was poor, and he's been poor. Problem is, you didn't sign a Pedro Neto. You didn't sign Diaby, who's at Aston Villa. You didn't sign a right winger that you can say, Saka, you know what, bro? You're a baller, but this is Arsenal. You can sit down on the bench for 2 weeks. You've just give that guy free reign. Do whatever you want. Is he burnt out? LB said he's burnt out. I could maybe have even give him less. I might even give him a 3.5. He was awful. He was non-existent. What's the problem with him? It's not good. Does he need a break? Does he need competition? Does he need both? But there is a problem with Bukayo Saka. I know he's got 11 goals and assists, but he doesn't look good at the moment. E. Ross said, why give Reece Nelson 100k? I got no idea, because he doesn't trust him. He doesn't want to play him. David said, information and entertainment. Big up yourself, bro. Big up Football Capo, member for 21 months. That flying tackle was the first time I celebrated something. Have not stood in a game. I told you, that's the best thing he's done since signing. He probably might have got sent off for it. But it's the first bit of pride. It's the first time he looked at him and thought, actually, he's awake. I'm concerned with Saka. I feel like this doesn't just look like a player who's not in the best of form. It looks like there's a fundamental problem there. Is he shattered because he just plays every week, 90 minutes? Even yesterday, he played awful. He played 90. Why did he not take him off? He's a young player playing every week. Even when he's bad, the manager doesn't take him off. Reece Nelson's sitting there 100 grand a week. You don't bring him on. I think Arsenal need to sign a right winger. F94, thank you for the super chat, bro. Said, don't know if it's an injury, fatigue, bad form, or all three. But despite his goal assist, Saka's just not doing it at the moment. Rice and Saliba still performing despite our issues. Time to hold bench for Reece. Martinelli got dropped for less. I think Arsenal... I love Saka, right? I think he's an outstanding player. His potential is huge. Saka is not a big enough, good enough footballer that he should be able to just be guaranteed a starting 11 spot. You're not a world-class superstar who's been doing it for 6 years and, you know, you've scored in Champions League semi-finals and finals and, you know, you're not on that level. Saka should still be brought down to earth sometimes and say, listen, bro, you're a great player, but you're not playing well enough. You're on the bench on Wednesday against Seville. You're on the bench on Saturday against Burnley. Because what I'm seeing ain't good enough. I've seen top players get dropped at Arsenal. Saka should be treated no different. You're not Thierry, you're not Dennis, you're not Patrick, right? So, fantastic player, but still got to keep him hungry. I think the lack of competition is damning for him. I really do. Brio said, have you ever seen a sympathy penalty at Arsenal? Well, just the Havertz one. I think that was the first time. So I give Saka a 3.5. Gabriel Martinelli. Martinelli yesterday did a lot of running. He huffed and puffed, but there was no real end product. He had our only shot on target, which he should have done better. Should have bent in the far corner for me. He went near post, hit it straight at him. I think Martinelli was better than Saka, but still nowhere near good enough. It was like a speedboat with no steering wheel. He just ended up crashing on the beach. I'll give him 4.5. 4.5 for Martinelli. Not good enough. Not good enough at all. We're just... something's not right. Something's not right. You do not see 3-4 players just hit bad form at once. Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, all these guys out of form at the moment. It's not a coincidence. Something is wrong at Arsenal. And they need to fix it. Our attack is not working. And let's finish off. Let's finish off with him. You could argue he's a fan favourite. He's a favourite of mine. I like talking about him. It's quite funny, actually. Growing up, one of my favourite comedians, Eddie Murphy. Delirious, Raw, Coming to America, Beverly Hills Cop, 48 Hours, another 48 Hours, The Golden Child, Norbit, Nutty Professor, 1 and 2, Dr. Dolittle. There were a number of classics. Well, yesterday, I mean, that was Coming to America. That was Akeem, the Prince of Zamunda. That was a comedy act for the second game in a row. The Donkey and Shrek, how can I forget? Remember that hat-trick against Sheffield United? This is the building block, the foundation for him to build on. He can, move forward now and really prove to everyone what he is. Yesterday was the 19th. I repeat, people, the 19th. Yes, you heard it right. 1-9. 19th away game in a row Eddie Nketiah has not scored in. 19. Genuinely, I never played at the Premier League. I'm not comparing myself to any Premier League striker. You played way higher than me. I respect it. I realise how difficult it is to get to that level. It's not easy. It takes a lot of hard work. If you gave me 19 games now in the Premier League, I'd be shocked if I didn't score once. A rebound, a tap-in, a penalty, something. Something's got to fall to me in 19 games. No goal. And people telling me your defence is in trouble when this guy's in the room. Your defence is safe as houses when this guy's in the room. Safe. 19. Half a season. Yeah, 19 away games is actually a full season of away games. No goal. Eddie Doolittle, says Boston. He does do little. He does nothing. Ran around, did nothing. Trading places, says Scott. I wish we could trade Eddie for Tony. I've been saying for 2 years, get rid of this guy. Not good enough. People think, oh, you're harsh on Eddie, man, and you gonna jet. Nah, bro. He ain't good enough. You know what the level is in the Prem. We did this the other day. Man City, Haaland, Alvarez. Tottenham, Son. Arsenal, Jesus. Liverpool, Nunes, Jota, Gakpo. Villa, Watkins. Newcastle, Isaac, Wilson. Brighton, Ferguson. Brentford, Tony. Man United. All right, we might not mention Man United. They haven't really got a striker. Højlund, I don't really rate him too tough. That's half the Premier League. Arguably, he doesn't get in any other team in the top half. Yet we're starting him. We're singing Eddie, Eddie, Eddie. Eddie what? Eddie Murphy? He's got to go with Havertz. eBay, next day delivery, buy it now. Make an offer. I'll send it. I'll ship him in the morning at the post office. Do you know what? I wish I'd actually... I gave Raya a 2. He cost us the game. I'll give Eddie 2.5. At least he didn't make a mistake, but he did nothing. Højlund is probably better than him. So, yeah, he's the worst striker in the top half in the starting line. Just make an offer. It's not even buy now. Just make an offer. £3, it's yours, mate. I'll send it. Don't worry about the delivery. I'll wrap it, ship it, next day delivery. You can have it. Billy Ray Valentine, people. Billy Ray Valentine. Eddie Murphy, man. DS said, Curtis, I'm uploading Eddie on eBay with same-day shipping. Tamu, yo, put him on any website. Just take him. Let me read these few super chats. I think this is a new contract virus for all of them. Maybe. Are they too rich now, man? They live in rich gang life, man. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe they're too rich. Eli said, I think we need to look at the managers' tactics. They look like doing things in pre-season. But now, in this new system, everyone looks clueless and devoid of ideas. Arteta needs to wake up. Don't worry, we're going to get to the manager. You need a striker. Problem is, so does Chelsea. And Bowley's checkbook is hard to beat. Chris, you're spot on. More than likely, Ivan Toney ends up at Chelsea because they will say to Brentford, how much do you want? Oh, 80, there you go. Money's in your account. We'll go, how much do you want? 80. How about 60 and a pound? And we'll pay it over 5 years. And they'll go, nah. And he'll go, well, I want to go to Arsenal. And they'll go, what do you get a week? 90. How about 250? And he'll go, yeah, I'll go to Chelsea. That'll do. Young Pally said, are you coming to Miami? Big up from the Twins. Big up the Twins. I'm not sure. I've been invited to it, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I got a lot going on. Obviously, I know there's a Soccer X convention thing in Miami, but I'm not sure. Forest are beating Villa 2-0, which actually does us a big favour, by the way, because Villa would have gone ahead of us if they'd have beat Forest. So big up to the hometown club. Anyway, let me just go through the subs. This will be nice and quick because, to be honest, the subs didn't really have any impact. Zinchenko. Oh, yeah, Mikel. By the way, we're losing. We need a goal. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll get Zinchenko on. Oh, yeah, that'll solve it. That'll sort it out, won't it? I'll bring on a left back. I'll bring on Stuart Pearce. I'll bring on Kenny Sampson. Get Kieran Gibbs on. Let's get a left back on. We need 2 goals. Yep, left back. That'll sort it. Oh, dear. Zinchenko, Fabio, and by the way, Fabio Vieira gets a 1 out of 10. For that pass at the end is an absolute disgrace. Trossard should have come on at half-time. Zinchenko, you ain't going to change the game at left-back. I just give him a 4. I ain't even interested. Let's talk about the manager. There is no way I am doing the stream without talking about the manager. Not a chance. Grenades got dropped last night, people, on Twitter. Grenade. Well, not, I won't even say grenades got dropped. I said a grenade. And it was a big one. I'm going to show you the tweet. I was a little bit in my feelings, like a Drake album. But there was a lot of truth, in my opinion. Not everyone will agree. You're entitled to your opinion. Just be respectful. The tweet was, I would be looking for a world-class manager in the summer. Arteta isn't the answer. Zidane or Mancini or Ancelotti. By the way, I didn't actually sit there for like 5 minutes and think of a definite manager. They're just three that popped into my head. You don't have to agree. If you don't, give me a suggestion. Would you take any of those three, or would you stick with Arteta? Carrying players like Havertz and Nketiah, Jorginho, Fabio, El Neni and Cedric. Now, I'm aware El Neni and Cedric don't play very often, but they're at the club. They're picking up wages. And, you know, they're taking up space on the bench that they don't need to be taking. At the end of the day, we could put better players there. Cedric's on 75 grand a week. 75 bags. Luis Diaz is on 70 bags at Liverpool. We got Cedric on 75 bags. 225,000 views. So you can imagine some of the replies. Some of the replies are hilarious, but there's a lot of them. There's replies like, Mancini has never done anything. This is one I'm reading just quickly. Mancini hasn't done anything. What, the Mancini that's won the Premier League, won 3 Italian leagues and won the Euros? That's one of them. This guy's put one loss and he starts talking about Arteta's future. He's been there for 4 years, by the way. So he's saying he thinks that one loss is the reason that I'm putting this tweet. Common sense ain't so common. This guy said Ancelotti wanted Havertz, by the way, at Real Madrid. He didn't actually buy him, though, did he? He didn't actually make an offer. He asked the question, saw the price, and said, I'm not that stupid. Our manager, by the way, did pay the £65 million for him. Somebody else said, no one else would be able to do better than what Arteta's done at Arsenal. My reply, what? 1 FA Cup and top 4 in 4 years after spending 670 million. Eddie Howe got Newcastle in the Champions League after 1 year after in a relegation battle. He hasn't responded yet. What's the next one? Some guy here put, what has Zidane done? I said, won 3 Champions Leagues. He hasn't responded yet either. That's another one. And by the way, I haven't gone into deep thought. There might be better options. You might want a De Zerbi. You know, we can sit down and think about it. As I said, Arteta's got a cult, people. I'm telling you, Arteta's got a cult following. You say anything about Arteta, oh God, don't question Arteta. Just keep trusting the process. We'll get there eventually. Oh dear, it's unbelievable. So, listen, let me say one thing. Arteta ain't going nowhere. I know that. You know that. We all know that. Because that's why I started with my introduction picture of Kroenke holding the gun to Arteta. Dance for me, Mikel. Dance! Make my money. As long as he's making him money, as long as he gets top 4, he don't care about winning the league. To win the league, you've got to spend big money. All right, here we go, Jeff. I saw this comment. On other channels, they might avoid these. I'll have an honest conversation with you because you've been respectful with the way you've asked it. No problem. Jeff Talkington says, Curtis, why are you so negative? Arteta challenged arguably the best manager in the world. Right? Fair enough. No problem. He challenged him. He challenged the best manager in the world. We were in total control, Jeff, last season to win the league. And we didn't win the league, right? It wasn't because Man City beating us home and away. It's because we drew to Southampton. We lost to Forest. We drew to West Ham. We drew to Brentford. Brendan Rodgers challenged for the league at Liverpool. Battered us 5-1 at Anfield. 18 months later, Liverpool said, on your bike. You've reached your ceiling. Now it's time to go up another level. As I always ask the question, do you believe Mikel Arteta can win the Premier League or the Champions League? If you don't, then what is the aim of him continuing at the football club long term? Because Arsenal's aim should be, can we win the Premier League? Now, I know it's not easy. It's Pep. It's Man City. Jurgen Klopp beat that Manchester City, won the Champions League, won the Premier League, won the FA Cup, won the Carabao Cup. And he spent similar amounts of money to what Arsenal have spent. Probably even less if you break it all down. So challenging him for one season is not enough for me. Some of you may think that that's harsh. I need to see continued progress. If we go backwards this season, I think we should be at least asking the question of what other managers are available. Brio said, what's good for Arteta may not be good for the club. Arteta's career is not the club's responsibility. He hasn't fixed the midfield as an ex-midfielder. I say it all the time. Edu was an invincible central midfield player. Arteta played for Arsenal centre mid. Yet these guys signed Sambi Lokongas, Fabio Vieiras, Kai Havertz, even though Havertz probably isn't a centre midfielder. The talent ID at times has been crazy. Landon said Zidane managed a team full of superstars. True. True. You bring him to Arsenal, you got to buy proper players. You can't buy little gimmicks, you know. But he's won 3 Champions Leagues. Who are we to turn our nose up at a 3-time Champions League winner? But give me a suggestion. Would you take Mancini? Would you take Ancelotti? David said Rice 6, Leo and Odegaard 8, Gabby and Saka wingers, and Kai 9. I wouldn't mind seeing that while Jesus is injured. I actually think Havertz could probably deliver more up front than what Eddie's doing, because I do think he could link play, and definitely want to see Trossard in that 8 role. Jermaine said, Curtis, you've got an agenda. Sick of it. Bro, I'm telling you, I'm here all week. I'm here all week, people. Anyway, there's the tweet. You can imagine there was more replies as well. I'd be here all day talking about them. AHD Gaming, Curtis, this is why our squad players must be up to scratch. They will be needed in the season. This means Nketiah, Jorginho ain't it. We need more Trossard types. We've got squad players we can't trust. We can't rely on them. And the thing is now, these squad players are now starting. They're now getting starts every week. Nketiahs, Havertz, Jorginhos, they're getting regular game time. If they're on the bench every week, but they're starting. Anyway, let's move on. It's that time. We've been on for 1 hour and 15 already. It's therapy. We've got to discuss. Let's finish with the waffle. In fact, I've got another thing after that, actually. Arsenal are putting out statements. They've put another statement. Jeez, we're going to come to that. In fact, let's go to it now before we get to Arteta's waffle. Hold tight on the Cone Man music. Arsenal put out another statement. Obviously, for those just tuning in, as I said, Arsenal put out a statement about an hour ago condemning so-called Arsenal fans. I call them that because they're idiots, but Arsenal fans racially abusing Joe Willock and Bruno Guimaraes, which is an absolute disgrace. Now they've put out this statement by the club. This is about the VAR. Arsenal Football Club wholeheartedly supports Mikel Arteta's post-match comments after yet more unacceptable refereeing and VAR. We would also like to acknowledge the huge effort and performance from our players and travelling supporters. The Premier League is the best in the world, with the best players and coaches and supporters, all of whom deserve better. PGMOL urgently needs to address the standard of officiating and focus on the action, which moves us all from retrospective analysis, attempted explanations and apologies. We support the ongoing efforts of Chief Refereeing Officer Howard Webb and would welcome together to achieve world-class officiating standards our league demands. It's great, that. I mean, it sounds great. It's great PR. I love the fact they said they tried to drop this in. We'd also like to acknowledge the huge effort and performance from our players and travelling supporters. I tell you something. There's some players on that pitch that did not work as hard as the fans who travelled 6-7 hours to get to Newcastle. Don't try and drop that one on me, bro. Don't try and drop that one. Let's make no mistake. The club are very good at deflecting. I haven't heard Arteta say anything about the performance level of Arsenal yesterday, about the lack of creativity, about one shot on target. All I heard was VAR, VAR, VAR. Now, VAR was a huge factor in this game. We can't deny that. But what about your team that cost you 700 million? No talk about that. Chris said, I'd take Ancelotti in a heartbeat. Look what he did at Everton. Ancelotti's a legend. Ollie says bring in Ivan Toney. Right, let's get into it. Cone Man music is back in full effect. The Cone Man. He managed like a Cone Man yesterday, that is for sure. 1-0 defeat, 1 shot on target. Forget title challenge. Just get us in the Champions League again. And then let's go from there. Let's hear what he had to say. If it's waffling, we're skipping it, people. I've got a funny feeling all of this is going to be about VAR. On Newcastle's goal, we have to talk about the result because you have to talk about how they help these goals stand up. It's incredible. I feel embarrassed, but I have to be the one now coming here try to defend the club. Please ask for help because it's an absolute disgrace that this goal is allowed. It's an absolute disgrace. It's not a goal for many reasons, for more than one reason at least. There's too much at stake. We put in so much effort. It's difficult to compete at this level. It's an absolute disgrace. Again, I feel embarrassed. I've been more than 20 years in this country. This is nowhere near the level to describe this as the best league in the world. I am sorry. Listen, he is right. He is right. It is unacceptable. I know people will say I'm harsh on Arteta, but he is correct. What we saw yesterday should not be happening in the richest league in the world, right? It shouldn't. I've got a feeling this will be the theme of the whole press conference. On the fact the goal was checked for 3 potential infringements. He said, that makes it even worse. This goal is okay, that's fine. I don't care what they say. The outcome, it's too late. Whatever they say, it's too late. Let's skip it. On refereeing decisions in the first half. He said, the penalty on Eddie, there are a lot of things we cannot continue. Penalty on Eddie, you got waste. That wasn't a penalty. You're clutching. I know you love Eddie. You don't want to talk about how bad he played. You're going to say that he deserved the penalty. On which 3 potential infringements could have led to Newcastle's goal? He said, this is really the question. The question is, it's not a goal. Skip it. On if an apology from the Prem would be of any use, he said, I have to stand now and explain we lost 3 points. Well, in theory, we didn't lose 3 points. We lost a point. We didn't do enough to get 3 points. He's ripping Ty's book. But I said, it's Drogba. It's a disgrace. Dry waffle, no syrup. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Drogba settings. By the way, Anthony Taylor got demoted to the Championship, said Esra. I feel sorry for them in the Championship. Imagine them seeing him turn up. On Saliba and Kai Havertz's performance. And that's the last question. Do you know why I find this question unbelievable? I'm so glad that press conference is over already. Do you know why I find this question unforgivable? Are you trying to group Kai Havertz's performance with William Saliba's? Is this what we're doing here? Are we actually saying that Havertz was on a similar level to Saliba with this question? Don't do this. They better not be trying to do this. Saliba was class yesterday. Havertz was usual with a 2-footed tackle and a shot that got blocked. This is shameless beyond belief. He said so much. It's incredible the way these guys play with 20 years, 21 years old, the way they play here. The way they compete against this team because they are a top team. Incredible. So to get a game out of that like this, I feel sick. That's how I feel. I feel sick to be part of this. That is genuinely the most shameful PR-led question I have ever seen in my life. They really tried to group Havertz next to Saliba. That should have been on Saliba and Declan Rice performance. Yeah, and you're right, MD. Kai Havertz is 24. You said it's incredible the way these 20-year-olds... Oh, they're babies again, right? We're in kindergarten again. We're in nursery. The poor babies came to Newcastle in this difficult atmosphere. They're so loud. The referees hate us. Bruno Guimaraes is so physical. We're only little babies. Little Saka, a poor little Saka with a puppy on his chest. Win the dog, bless her, she's so lovely. All the players are fighting to take her home. We're just a nice little fluffy team. It's so hard to come here and compete. Protect us, we're babies. Ah, sort this rubbish out, man. I grew up on Vieira, fighting Roy Keane, grabbing him by the throat. Now, I got this bunch of puppies in a nursery. Oh, it's so low. Look at cute little Saka, little baby. Do me a favour. Do me soft. Boy, them soft, man. Ain't winning nothing acting like that. Bunch of babies, man. Poor little soft team. You never hear Pep talk like this. You hear Klopp talk like that. I'm interested in all that, bro. Nobody's going to have sympathy for you, bro. 4 years, lots of money, I ain't interested. Fabregas at 17 was born. Fabregas was throwing pizza at Sir Alex Ferguson. Pizza. And I'm meant to feel sorry for these little... Behave, man. Ain't going to win nothing. How do we fix this, Big C? We need a solution. I always say, let me not just moan. Let's try and find solutions. Okay, we're going to look for solutions. 2 solutions. And we got to be realistic. We're not signing Mbappe, even though I asked him. We're not going to sign Haaland. You know, let's be realistic. There's 2 situations. Number 1, we've got to figure out a way to start attacking better. I think the first solution is you've got to change that midfield, right? I would put Trossard in the 8 role, and I would like to see a midfield of Declan Rice, Trossard, and Odegaard, right? That's what I don't want to see Jorginho. I don't want to see Havertz in midfield. I actually think you could give Havertz a game up front because I think Eddie is a waste of time. He's a waste of time. If you're going to play Havertz, play him up front and try and use him as a link-up player, or put Trossard up there. Obviously, overall, yeah, for me, I would love to see a world-class manager with big money to spend. But I'm talking about in the short term. January is huge. And what happens moving forward in these next few games? Sevilla on Wednesday is a must-win. And then you've got to beat Burnley at the weekend. Then it's the international break. And you hope over them 2 weeks that Thomas Partey and Gabriel Jesus can get fit. Because I think we'd be a different team if those 2 were playing for us. The spine of our team has collapsed. It's not strong anymore, you know, because we've put players in there that are flimsy, that don't hold it together. January is going to be huge. Last season, I tweeted about 10 times that January window's cost us the title. And again, on Twitter, they were crying, oh, Jorginho was nominated for Ballon d'Or. Kivior's highly rated. I said, you ain't winning titles with them signings. We've got to spend, in my opinion, over 100 million in January. Easily. And when you say that, people go, this ain't Football Manager. Arsenal can't do that. They can do that. They can do that. They're one of the richest clubs in the world. I watched Chelsea spend 300 million last January. So don't tell me Arsenal can't spend 120 million on 2 players. Don't tell me they can't get me Ivan Toney for 75 million and get me Neto for 45 or get me a centre mid for 50 mil or 40 mil. They need at least 2 quality signings in January. Get Partey fit, get Jesus fit. You never know, you might get a Timber for the last couple months of the season. And they need at least 2 players. And I'm not talking about flimsy little squad players, projects that are going to take 4 years. You know, Kivior, who ain't ready to ripen, or Jorginho should be in an old people's home like a pensioner. Now, people say in FFP, if you got to get rid of some players, get rid of some players. Ruthless. Start being ruthless. Convertible settings. If you got to get rid of some players, get rid of them. And there's players at this club that I like. But if they have to go, they have to go. Sell them. Get rid of Fabio Vieira. See who'll take him. Get some money in. I love Smith Rowe, but if clubs want Smith Rowe for big money and that money's going to get you an Ivan Toney or a Neto or a top quality player, then Smith Rowe might have to go. And I like Smith Rowe. I'm a big fan of Smith Rowe. I hope he makes it. If you got to get rid of a player to balance the books, then so be it. So be it. But you've got to bring players in to strengthen. Because let me just say something. Right? We haven't had a terrible start to the season in terms of where we are in the league. We're third in the league. A win yesterday, we'd have been joint top. We'd have only been second on goal difference. Liverpool play Luton in an hour. They'll beat them. They'll be third. We'll be fourth. We're lucky that Nottingham Forest are beating Villa 2-0. So Villa would have gone above us today. Aston Villa. Now put that into context. Aston Villa, who've had relegation battles over the past couple of years, who sacked Steven Gerrard, so on and so forth, right? With our former manager, the one that was hounded out of the club, and people took the mick out of him. He would, if he'd have beat Forest today, be above us in the league. Aston Villa, who haven't spent half the money we've spent. We got a £105 million midfielder next to a £65 million midfielder. We've spent a fortune on this team. He would have been above us. He's 2 points behind us. So we've got to do better. Now, short-term thinking, long-term thinking. Short-term, sort this attack out. We look dysfunctional. Why is Martinelli struggling? I always say on the football pitch, football pitchers, you need partnerships. Look at the best teams over the years. Let's even look at Arsenal last year, and we weren't one of the best. Like, we're not one of the best teams you've seen, but in the Prem last year, we were one of the best teams in the Prem. Look how many partnerships we had on the pitch. Ben White and Saka, great partnership. Xhaka and Martinelli over on that left-hand side, great partnership. Xhaka and Partey in midfield, great partnership. Odegaard and Saka. Jesus with Martinelli and Saka, great link-up. Gabriel Saliba. Partnerships all over the pitch. You look this year, Ben White and Saka, that partnership's poor. Rice and Martinelli on that left, that doesn't really connect like that. Eddie Nketiah's playing through the middle. He doesn't connect with either one of the wingers. Odegaard's not in form. He's not connecting with Saka as well. The only partnership actually in this team that is standing up and being countered is Gabriel and Saliba. And now you've got a situation where the goalkeeper is causing panic in our team because he hasn't adjusted to playing for Arsenal. Yeah, you might be good on the ball. You might be able to pick out a pass. And you might be better than Aaron Ramsdale. Who knows? David De Gea was shocking when he first went to Man United. He was letting shots go straight through his hands. He was getting bullied for crosses. Man United fans will tell you De Gea has been one of their best goalkeepers of this generation, probably since Peter Schmeichel. So we need to figure out what our best team is, first of all. Get our best players back fit and move on from there. So we'll finish off. Just by having a look at the team. Because we want to find solutions. And as much as I'm fuming and as much as I don't think we win the league, it's not over. We've got to dust ourselves down. We've had a terrible week. And I said all week, the way we lost to West Ham and throwing away a trophy, it wasn't just that we lost, it was the domino effect, and we've seen it. Now, do you continue with David Raya? Or do you go back to Ramsdale? For me, I'm sorry. David Raya in 10, 12, 14, 20 games might be a really good goalkeeper. This ain't an apprenticeship. This ain't work experience. Unless you're getting me a definitive upgrade, Ramsdale's back in goal for me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, people. And I'm not a big Ramsdale fan. When we signed him, I was disappointed. But I can't have a goalkeeper getting lobbed from a cross. I can't have a goalkeeper doing Superman. I never saw Ramsdale making them mistakes. He did make the odd mistake, but he didn't make mistakes like that. His personality, I think, was infectious to the defence. He speaks. He's vocal. I just don't think it's working. I don't think Raya is connected. We're lucky we've got these two centre-backs in our team. As much as Gabriel at times, the Bozo gene, but trust me, we would not be even where we are if it wasn't for those two. That partnership is holding us together. Trust me on that one. What do you do with the fullbacks? we got no choice but to keep playing Ben White, unfortunately, unless you play Tomiyasu right back. But Zinchenko is all over the place. The sad thing is, right, I'll be totally honest with you. When we was at our best last season, Zinchenko was pivotal to what was going on. He was pivotal. I remember Tottenham away, I said, this game is unbelievable. They had 2 in midfield, we had 4. We had Odegaard, Xhaka, Partey, and Zinchenko. We were incredible. He was outstanding that game at left back. So I do think for Arsenal to function the way Arteta is functioning, you do want to see an informed Zinchenko in the team. But at the moment, it's got to be Tomiyasu because he's out of form. He might have to find his way back in. If anything, you know, I don't know. Maybe he needs a break out of the team. Maybe you can put Zinni in midfield. Declan Rice needs help, needs support. He needs something. You get Odegaard in and you've got to figure out how to get him in form. Because we saw yesterday, as much as we're critical of Odegaard, we have no creativity without him. None. Absolute none. We've got to figure out how to get in form. Now, you got 2 options here for me. And it ain't Jorginho and Havertz. You got 2. Number 1, I would go Trossard. Because I think he does have creativity. I think he would be more dangerous in central areas around here where he can shoot with his left, right foot, can pick passes, can dribble, than sticking him on the touchline. I don't think he has the pace to damage enough teams in that wide area. So I would personally go Trossard. Or the other option is go Zinchenko in midfield. And some people might say, Zinchenko, this is where he plays for Ukraine. Did you see his performance the other week against England, against Declan Rice? He put in a very good performance and scored in that game. I would much rather see that than see Jorginho and Kai Havertz. That is shambolic. If you went with this midfield, because we're not dropping Saka as far as I'm concerned. Not every player out of form needs to be dropped. Sometimes you've got to figure out how to get them back in form. Then you've got 2 options here up front. I mean, you could even put Martinelli up front for his pace, but you've got 2 options here. You either put Havertz through the middle, use him as a link player. They've even got him in a Chelsea kit on here. He's just not one of us, is he? You put Havertz there and use him as a link man. That's not me wanting Havertz in the team. I don't even want Havertz at the club. What I'm saying is it's damage limitation at this point. I think Havertz causes Arsenal less problems putting him up front than playing him in midfield. Midfield, if he loses the ball, we're in all sorts of trouble. People are running at our defence. If he's up here, he's less of a problem. One thing I will give him a little bit of credit for, I think he can win a header, and I think he has got decent link-up with his back to goal. We saw it against Man City. Now, the other option, obviously, is go Trossard up top. But you don't play him as an out-and-out centre-forward. You use rotation with him and Martinelli. Those 2, I think that 3 would link up. Trossard is a very clever player. I would probably go with this because I'm just at the point where I don't want Havertz in the team. If Havertz is in the team, I'd play Havertz up front and put Trossard where Zinni is. But if it was up to me, this would be my team at the moment. And allow us to just rebuild. Because Zinni, I think, can pick a pass. He always looks to thread those passes. Give him that freedom that you're not at left back. And if you lose the ball, you don't have to recover 20 yards to get to left back. Play Tomiyasu as a normal left back, by the way. I don't want him inverting. Just play normal. Defend. Be solid. Give us that defensive base. You got Zinni who can pass. You got Odegaard who can pass. Trossard is a good link-up player. That would be my team against Sevilla on Wednesday. Martinelli and Trossard can rotate. If it's not working, Trossard can go on the left. Martinelli can go up front. Are we likely to see it? Probably not. You're right, Eros. We probably do need a potion. We do need Dexter's Laboratory. But the problem is, this is wishful thinking. Because we play Sevilla on Wednesday night, Champions League, must-win game. And we're not going to see Zinchenko in midfield. we're going to see probably Jorginho or Havertz. And we'll probably see Eddie and Nketiah up front. And this is the problem. As I said, every manager in the world has favourites. The problem is this manager, some of his favourites are some of our worst players. I've got no problem if your favourites are Saliba, Declan Rice, Saka and Martinelli. But when your favourites are Eddie and Nketiah, Havertz, Jorginho, then we've got a big problem on our hands. And that is the problem. So all we can do is see, people. All we can do is see. Let me read out these couple super chats. And RB said 700 million spent, past 4 years, all wasted. I wouldn't say all wasted. I want to make this clear. Arteta hasn't just come to Arsenal and done a terrible job. He's done some good things. I think he's took longer than was necessary, but he's definitely put us in a better position than where we were when he walked in through the door when Emery had gone. But has he maxed out? Has he peaked? Has he reached his ceiling? That's the question. Do you believe he can go one step further, win the league, win the Champions League? For me, I'm not convinced by him. I would give him till the end of the season, then start looking for a world-class manager. But time will tell. Time will tell. The Carabao Cup was probably our best opportunity of winning a trophy. Fabrizio Coburn said, big up Big C, how can we blame Mikel for officials? We can't. I can blame him for Kai Havertz. I can blame him for Jorginho. I can blame him for Fabio Vieira. You know, I can blame him for Eddie Nketiah, a 5-year deal, 100 grand a week. Reece Nelson, 100 grand a week. That's what I can blame him for. The officials, nothing to do with him. But the officials don't cost us every week, do they? Yesterday, yeah, we can look at them. Can we make any new signings in January? We signed Raya on loan due to FFP. Unless we sell big in January, we cannot sign Tony or Neto. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether we can. But as I said, I would sell a couple players if we have to, because I think we need to. Big up Ricky and big up for the super sticker as well. We're definitely in some sort of financial difficulty because I'm sure they would have bought Raya for 30 million if they could. Highly wanted criminal said, I will take draft picks for Jorginho. Bro, I'm telling you, I'll take a basketball player for Jorginho, I'm telling you. Put Steph Curry in midfield over Jorginho, and he don't even play football, but I'd take him. Listen, people, thank you very much for tuning in today. 1 hour and 40 minutes of Arsenal therapy. Listen, one thing's for sure. It is painful when we lose. We know VAR played a major part, but let's be real. That defeat yesterday has been coming. We found it in midweek against West Ham. The attack is not functioning. Good players out of form, overthinking. The spine that we had last year, Ramsdale, Gabriel, Saliba, Xhaka, Partey, Odegaard, Jesus. That spine has been broken because now Raya's in goal, looking shaky. The two centre-backs look good. The midfield partnership of Partey and Rice that we all thought we were going to see, we're not seeing it because Partey can't stay fit, right? Odegaard's out of form, Jesus is injured. So now suddenly the spine of the team is flimsy. It's weak. Because you've got your Jorginhos, your Havertz, your Eddie and Nketiahs. Yeah, and we now look spineless rather than a strong spine. But listen, things can be fixed. We've got a big game on Wednesday. We need to win. Tomorrow, I'll be live again. Hopefully we'll have some more news to talk about. Tuesday, we'll preview the game. Wednesday, we'll have the watch-along. And we'll build up to the weekend as well against Burnley. And then it's the international break. Big up to everyone. Enjoy your Sunday. Have a blessed weekend. And I will see you all tomorrow, people. Bless.